वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुनतीरवनचरी यमुनतीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद। हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। कृष्ण। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। I think from next week onwards, what we can do is, even if you are unable to chant the previous prayers, meaning the prayers on the previous slides, at least try to chant these prayers. And if possible, you can unmute yourself and try to chant it.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
इफ पॉसिबल नहीं प्रभु, पॉसिबल है ही, आप इंस्ट्रक्शन दो।
अरे नहीं, मैं कौन होता हूँ इंस्ट्रक्शन देने वाला। वी कैन ओनली रिक्वेस्ट।
आप शिक्षा गुरु हैं प्रभु जी, आप दे सकते हैं।
इतना बड़ा होदा मत देना, औकात नहीं है मेरी। Hare Krishna. So we completed until verse 27, right? Last time. Anybody remembers? अच्छा, वर्स भी नहीं याद है। ओके ओके, क्या किया वो तो याद है। मंजू माता जी, you were there, right?
Yes, I was there, but I'm finding it difficult to still recollect. I think Krishna continues talking about the soul, and to Arjuna, telling him about that he shouldn't regret, because the body will anyway go, and all is left is the soul which carries on.
And what was the argument he provided to communicate this point?
प्रभु जी आर्गुमेंट ये दिया था कृष्णा ने, अगर सोल जो है अगर बॉर्न भी होती है, डाई भी होती है, तो ही शुड नॉट लेमेंट.
Correct.
So that is the argument Krishna presented, right?
Correct.
There is no
Exactly.
reason to lament, basically.
Correct. So why is this argument important?
Because they even sometimes we think your soul neither born neither dies, right? Soul is always there, so we lament. So all the Krishna kill all the argument logically, and this was the last argument where he says
Exactly.
even it is born die,
Correct.
so why we should lament, right?
Correct. Correct. So until to verse number 25, starting
Yeah.
from verse number 11, Krishna had presented the argument with the assumption that soul exists and soul never dies.
Yeah.
So now he is taking the argument from another perspective. He is saying there are four possibilities, right? A body can be eternal, or the second possibility, a body also dies and comes into birth and dies, which is the second possibility. Third possibility is soul is eternal, and the fourth is soul also dies. So we all know that the body dies, yeah, continuously, and that he has explained also with the verse number 16, where he says that the body is unendurable. It cannot stand the test of time, that which means it dies off. Body is not eternal, that is getting confirmed, body dies, right? So if body is eternal, then Arjun doesn't need to lament because he is not going to kill them. But that is not the case. Arjun knows body is not eternal, he will have to kill them, he will kill them and they will die. And if body is dying, then it is anyway going to die, whether Arjun kills them or they die their natural death. That is anyway going to happen at one time or the other. So this as the basis, and extending that at a soul level, that the soul is eternal, he presented all his arguments in 15 verses, verse 11 to verse 25. Now then the only possibility that was remaining was, what if the soul also dies on a regular basis? To that he is answering here, stating that if the soul dies, then again you don't need to lament. What is there to lament? That even if firstly you are not going to kill the soul, and if you think you are killing the soul is anyway going to die. So whether you kill the soul and it dies or it dies by itself, anyway it is going to die. So again, what is there to lament? So these group of verses are what we call in ISKCON as checkmate verses. Every argument that Arjun provided has been counter argued by Krishna, to the extent that Arjun has been pushed, all his arguments have been pushed to a corner, and there is no answer with Arjun. Every possibility Krishna has spoken and he has answered. Any question around this one, this verse or the next verse? What is this? Anybody can explain about what this verse is? Verse number 27, which we did last time.
Yes, Prabhu. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu.
Dhruvam janma mrutasya cha.
Dhruvam janma tachasa. Tasmat paryahartharthe na tvam sochitum arasi.
Yes.
So here Krishna is saying ki anybody who has taken birth, he will definitely die one day, right? And he will take birth again, right? So we in this understanding this, why we should lament? We should not be lament by any way.
Correct.
So even I think I don't know, this shloka comes here, then where he says, na tvam neme janadepa na tvam, right?
2.12.
2.12 mein, then like we have taken so many birth and death, but you don't remember, but I remember, right? So
Yes, perfect, Prabhu. So let's go to verse number 28. Anybody has any question around this one? So these verses are like foundation. They will make you understand a new concept, some concept which the society never talked about it, or even if few people talked about it, because of our education and because of our surroundings and because of the I would say various society related factors, we either disregarded this topic or we considered it taboo to talk about it, because that would mean it that the discussion will talk about death also. So this whole chapter is going to defeat quite a few of your, I would say, misconceptions, and then you will start understanding the depth of Bhagavad Gita gradually. So please feel free to ask any question that you may have. Anybody, कुछ भी doubt है before moving on? I'm purposely going very slow in the second chapter because the foundation has to be very clear. And third onwards, fourth onwards, I will go a little faster. Manju Mataji, Jijit Prabhu, Garima Mataji, Deepak Prabhu, any question?
No.
Was on mute.
Nothing on the group.
Okay, fine. Did you go through the videos which I have uploaded or?
No, not yet, bro. Not yet.
Yes, Prabhu. Chaitanya Charan Das Prabhu का video, right?
नहीं, और मैंने अपने जो क्लासेस में जो हुआ था डिस्कशन, even that I have uploaded. So in case any one of you has missed any of the classes, please go watch the videos because they talk about fundamental philosophy. So it's very important to understand before we move on to the next higher level topics.
Sure, bro. I'll try to cover this one.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So let's chant verse number 28. You can unmute yourself. Avyaktadini bhutani
Avyaktaadini bhutani
व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत
vyaktamadhyani bharata
अव्यक्त निधनान्येव
avyakta nidhananyeva
तत्र का परिदेवना.
Tatra
tatra
ka
ka
paridevana.
paridevana.
Anybody can read the translation.
Translation Anuvad by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation?
Okay. Can somebody explain what is the meaning of this? What do you understand out of this one? What is Krishna referring to? A hint I can give you is the usage of the word manifest. He is not talking about creation. Remember, we had spoken about the difference between creation, destruction, and manifestation and unmanifestation. Anybody? Let's have interactive class.
Yeah. So does it mean that physically you were not, like the soul is there, but a physical being was not there?
Okay. Okay.
In the beginning,
yeah.
Then you manifest, so the soul comes into your manifested into the physical body. Okay. And then again in the end, when you die, it unmanifests again. Physical body is no longer there, and the soul goes back to the state it was.
Okay, that was a good try, I would say. Okay, here the concept at which Krishna is speaking is a bit different, but what you have spoken is also nice, very nice actually, a good thought there. But Krishna is speaking a bit differently here. Anybody wants to try? Jijit Prabhu, Garima Mataji, Deepak Prabhu.
Prabhu, what I would like to say is manifest meaning now in the beginning it is let's say when the soul enters the body, there is like there's no like the consciousness is not there, meaning it only develop over the time when the kid grows, or let's say how he gets interacted with the environment or what he's being his based on karma, he or she, what he gets or what she gets. I mean, that's what the manifest means, or
Okay, this is a level different than the bodily level.
okay.
It is talking about one level higher. Okay,
So
so what happens, I'll explain. Okay, now Krishna is talking from the creation of the material universe and the destruction of the material universe from that perspective. Okay, he is not talking at the level of body. This point about creation and destruction is a kind of a PhD level topic, or I would say 10 times complex than PhD also. So in Bhagavatam, this topic has been spoken, creation topic has been spoken by 4 different people in 4 different depths. And every time this topic is more and more elaborated. And Shukadev Goswami speaks about destruction 2 times in Srimad Bhagavatam. One full chapter, the 4th chapter of Canto 12 of Srimad Bhagavatam, is dedicated only to destruction. So there are 4 types of destruction, and all four have been explained by Shukadev Goswami. So the first destruction is when the soul leaves the body, which is what you all mentioned. Correct. Then there is another destruction which happens at the end of Brahma's one day. Okay, I'm not going to go in detail, but this particular topic about Brahma's age, okay, what do his life of 100 years mean in terms of number of years on earth? What does it mean? We'll get covered in the 8th chapter when we do the 17th verse, when Brahma's age is calculated over there. Okay, so Brahma's one day equates to almost 4.3 billion earth years. Okay, at the end of Brahma's day, the whole material universe is destroyed except for Brahmalok, where Brahma is residing. And during the night, okay, everything is in an unmanifest state. And at the start of Brahma's day, again the creation process starts, and again everything is created. So what Krishna is referring to here is at the start of day, that means Avyaktadini Bhutani and Adini, meaning at the time of beginning, you were unmanifest, which means it is mentioned in Brahma Samhita that during the time of destruction, all the souls reside in the body of Mahavishnu. So which is basically an unmanifest state for us. We exist, but we are not in a manifest form. Without a body we are. Then when the creation completes, then via Garbhodakshay Vishnu, we get added, meaning we get a body. And then we remain here in this material universe until the destruction happens. And again, when the annihilation happens, the destruction happens, we are again sent into the unmanifested in the body of Mahavishnu. So the cycle of creation and destruction goes on and on and on. At the end of one whole life of Brahma of 100 years, the complete destruction happens, which is called as pralay. You might have heard this word before. So that pralay, when it happens, the material universe is destroyed and a new universe is created. And again, we are pushed into that universe. Okay, so this happens. So that's why the previous verse is important to understand this one. In the previous verse, what did Krishna say? That everybody who takes birth dies and everybody who dies takes birth. So that way we can understand this verse. But then we go one level higher at a level of universe creation, the creation and destruction of the universe at that level. Okay, so then automatically a question comes up: does it mean that this cycle of birth and death will never end? No. Birth and death cycle, to end that, we have to do certain activities. This is applicable for people who do not do those activities. who do not achieve Vaikuntha, who do not achieve Krishna's lotus feet. So when we do not achieve that, we continue in this cycle of birth and death in this material universe, on and on and on, and we get the body gets destroyed, the universe gets destroyed, we go in the unmanifest state, then we come into manifest state, then we go into unmanifest state again, and this goes on and on and on. And that is why one needs to understand why this material world is not a permanent place. That is what he explains in the 8th chapter also. Okay. It is very much possible that you may not understand this philosophy of creation and destruction. It may be a bit difficult. Yes, even I found it difficult to understand when I read it for the first time. But when we speak about it, when we reach to the 8th chapter, when we speak again in the 9th chapter, things will become very clear. At this point of time, only thing that one needs to understand is Krishna is talking about the material world is not a permanent place. To think of this, that if Arjun doesn't fight and doesn't kill Bhishma and Dronacharya, they will remain here forever, is a wrong understanding. And that's why Krishna is saying, even if you assume that their material body never dies, still the whole universe is going to get destroyed, let alone their body. So it is to say that I am building a villa in a city, and that villa will never get destroyed. Arey Baba, let alone your villa, the whole city is going to get destroyed. The whole country is going to get destroyed. The whole world is going to get destroyed. What are you talking about your villa? So that is that argument here. Prabhupada has mentioned certain points here. If you want, I can explain this one from earth, fire, then water, earth, fire, how are they related? Okay, it will take some time. If you feel it is confusing, do not worry, ignore it. If you think it helps you understand, all the better. Or shall I skip the topic if it is confusing to you? What do you prefer?
Can I ask a question on the previous explanation that you just said?
Yeah, please.
So when it is said that first we were unmanifested, then we got manifested, and then the unmanifested state. So we were in Vishnu, then the manifestation happened, as in the human beings took form on earth, and then again the unmanifestation happened. So this is the one where we say कि पहले हम नहीं थे, फिर हम थे, और फिर प्रलय आई, फिर तो it's like युग जो है उनका cycle.
Sorry, I'll need to correct you. पहले हम नहीं थे. Krishna is not saying हम नहीं थे. Krishna is saying nahi. That's why I mentioned the difference between the words creation and manifestation should be understood. The soul is eternal. Soul never dies.
Okay.
The soul, using the word creation for the soul is not appropriate.
Okay, when I use the okay, fine, I get you. I'll correct myself. So we were in the womb of Vishnu, then we took the physical human being form, and then again the next stage, the unmanifestation, is when we'll again go in the womb of Vishnu. Okay. So my question is that this is where the whole universe, or probably the whole earth, is going through the cycle. Okay. The cycle of unmanifestation to manifestation, and again to unmanifestation. So is this same as the yug, that I mean Kal Yug, and then the वापस से वो जो बोलते हैं कि cycle आएगा, and like there's an end coming, प्रलय जैसे आप बोल रहे हैं. Is it that?
Okay, not 100%. Okay, तो मैं थोड़ा सा डिटेल में explain करता हूँ. So
there is one more question.
Okay.
And this cycle versus the other cycle that you said कि हम जन्म और मरण के चक्कर में फंस जाते हैं, वहां से निकलेंगे तो वो that is our own soul journey, right? That is irrespective of this whole cycle.
Yes, correct. So let's say I achieve Vaikuntha planet. Garima Mataji, if you can go mute if you are not speaking. Thank you. So let's say I am able to do sufficient bhakti for Krishna and I am able to get rid of the cycle of birth and death. Okay. So I achieve, say, Vaikuntha planet or Krishna's Goloka Vrindavan planet. Let's, for the sake of discussion, agree. Assume this. In such a scenario, then for me, this is not applicable. After leaving the current body, for me, I will not need to be subjected to manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. I will not be subjected to. Okay. All this, whatever is being done, is happening within the material world. Okay. So there is something called as a causal ocean, जिसके अंदर कारणोदक्ष Vishnu is lying, and he is inhaling all these universes and exhaling the universes. The concept may be a bit difficult to understand for you at this stage. It doesn't matter. We will elaborate this as we go forward. Okay, wherever it is applicable. And in every universe, Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters, he creates life, and it, it Brahma takes it forward. And then when the souls are released into the universe and they acquire the bodies, then in every body, Paramatma, who is also known as Shirodakshay Vishnu, he enters, and along with the Paramatma and the Atma, they both live in the body. ओके तो ये जो आप जो बोल रही हो ना ये युग का ये युग हाउ डज इट वर्क इज देयर आर 4 युगास सो करंट युग इज कली युग इज ऑफ 4,32,000 years of which 5,000 years have passed now. तो उसके पहले वाला जो युग है वो द्वापर युग है, दैट इज 8,64,000 युग years. देन उसके पहले जो आता है वो त्रेता युग आता है which is 12,96,000 years, and उसके पहले जो आता है वो सत्य युग है, that is 17,28,000 years. All you sum up, you get 43,20,000 years. This is called as one chatur yuga, one cycle of yuga. I say 1,000 chatur yuga is equivalent to 1 day of Brahma. So 43,20,000 into 1,000 will come to 4.32 billion years. उसका ये ब्रह्मा का दिन हो गया, उतना ही ब्रह्मा की रात है. So 8.64 billion years is Brahma's 24 hours. Okay, and if you multiply this into 365 into 100 and all, you will get 311 trillion 400 billion years. That is the life of the universe. And इसके बाद डिस्ट्रक्शन होता है. This is what is mentioned in Bhagavatam. बहुत ही डिटेल में they have mentioned, and I'm actually probably just one drop का information भी नहीं बताया मैंने अभी उसका. तो ये जो आप जो युग बोल रहे हो तो युग का रिलेशन है इससे, but this is how the relation is. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji, cleared both the doubts got clear. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any other question on this point? Do you think this is confusing? Shall I explain you the other aspect of creation? थोड़ा डिटेल में जाऊं, or you think I should stop here?
I think we should go ahead in more detail. I'm clear with whatever was.
Okay, Deepak Prabhu ji, Jit Babu Prabhu, and Manju Mataji,
Yeah.
do you?
Prabhu, it would be nice to know more.
Okay, fine. If at all you feel confusing, let me know. Either I'll try to elaborate or we can stop the discussion, because this creation as a topic in itself is vast, बहुत vast है. Okay, तो अभी I'll explain only the 5 material elements. ना उनका ही सिर्फ बोलता हूँ, because if I go even one level higher about अहंकार and बुद्धि and मन and senses and all that, that will become far confusing. मैं सिर्फ 5 material elements का बोलता हूँ मैं. So at a certain point of time, okay, who all know the five material elements? What are they?
Earth,
Earth,
water,
Fire,
fire, air,
and
ether.
Ether meaning sky. Yeah.
Sky. Yeah.
So first, at a certain point of time, it's not the first. There are many things that happen before this one, but at a certain point of time, sky gets created. Okay. So sky का characteristic क्या है? Anybody knows? So okay, so let me
everywhere, like Prabhu.
Yeah, that is correct. But one peculiar characteristic is sound. Yeah. Okay. So it travels. The sound is basically as a sense is created by sky. Okay. अगर difficult होता है, you will understand when I explain it further. Okay. So you can hear whatever is happening in the sky. Okay. हमें वो कान नहीं है उतने, but that is how the characteristic of a sky is. Sky के बाद again certain material creation process happens and the next element is created which is air. अभी air का you can hear air, correct? But you can also touch air, you can feel air. So air के पास दो characteristics आते हैं, that is sound and which is the next one?
Feel or touch, basically.
Touch. Okay, so you see how gradually the material elements carry over the previous elements characteristic and add one of their characteristic. फिर air के बाद again the creation process continues and it creates fire. So now you can hear fire, correct? You can feel fire. हाँ, अगर उंगली डालेंगे फायर में तो बर्न होता है, so you can feel it. And और एक characteristic fire में add होती है. Do you know what it is? Can you see ether? You cannot see ether.
आकाश नहीं है.
You cannot, because हमें जो दिखता है वो सिर्फ काला काला दिखता है. We think that is sky, but actually sky doesn't have a physical presence. हम लोग और 1000 या 50,000 किलोमीटर ऊपर जाएंगे तो भी हम लोग को वही दिखेगा जो यहाँ से दिख रहा है. So you cannot see ether, and you cannot see air also, but you can see fire. So fire has one additional characteristic which is called as form. तो अभी देखो स्काई में साउंड है, एयर में साउंड भी है एंड टच भी है. फिर फायर में साउंड है, टच है एंड फॉर्म है, करेक्ट? फिर बाद में क्या होता है? अगेन क्रिएशन प्रोसेस कंटिन्यूज एंड another material element gets created. What do you think that is? अभी दो ही बचे हुए.
Water.
Earth बचा है प्रभु जी.
Water.
Earth and water. Yeah.
Water.
But yeah, water gets created. Yeah. So what are the three common characteristics of water? You can hear water. Yeah. You can feel water. Thanda, garam, you can feel it. You can see water. And you can even taste water. बराबर है? पानी की खुशबू आती है ना, अरे सॉरी, पानी को टेस्ट अच्छी होती है. So the taste is the additional characteristic in water. Now the fifth element gets created. So now in earth you can hear earth. हाँ, जमीन पे आवाज आता है पैर चलने के बाद. You can touch earth, obviously. You can also see the form of earth. अर्थ से जो भी बनता है उसका फॉर्म भी दिखता है हम लोग को. बिल्डिंग बनती है या मड पॉट बनता है, जो भी बनता है. इवन बॉडी also, our body has a form. Yeah, so you can touch it, you can even taste it also. अर्थ को अपनी टेस्ट होती है. And the fifth characteristic is smell. That smell is a characteristic of earth. That smell doesn't exist in any of the previous four elements. It exists only in earth. So that's why you see that when fruits and flowers or whatever is there, okay, they carry an aroma that is actually the gift of earth. Okay, so these are the 5 material elements and these are the 5 senses, okay, that are associated with all these 5 material elements. एंड जब डिस्ट्रक्शन होता है तो रिवर्स ऑर्डर में डिस्ट्रक्शन होता है. पहले अर्थ डिस्ट्रॉय होता है, देन वाटर डिस्ट्रॉय, देन फायर, देन एयर एंड देन ईथर, एंड देन ऊपर इट गोज रिवर्स, जो पहले जो क्रिएट हुआ था, द मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर एंड ऑल दैट. Any question around this? Was it confusing or did it help you understand or कुछ
प्रभु कैसे क्रिएट मैनिफेस्ट होता कैसे, मतलब हाउ डज दैट इनिशिएट ऑल दिस थिंग्स?
प्रभु वो बड़ा टॉपिक है. There is something as called as pradhan. Pradhan is an unmanifest stuff. Then the manifest nature becomes mahat tattva. Then there is something called as the modes of material nature. उसके पहले अपना ईगो जो होता है, फॉल्स ईगो, वो क्रिएट होता है. देन द मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर क्रिएट होते हैं. देन ईगो विथ सत्वगुण, रजोगुण एंड तमोगुण तीनों से रिएक्ट करता है, एंड सत्वगुण से देवी देवता क्रिएट होते हैं, रजोगुण से सेंसेस गेट क्रिएटेड, एंड तमोगुण से something get created. I forgot that for a moment. Devi Devta, senses, and sorry, I forgot. तो वो वैसा क्रिएट होता है, and then आकाश gets created, then subsequent creation happens.
तो प्रभु it is happening even now also, like
तो ये at the time of the start of creation of universe के टाइम होता है ये. एंड उसमें भी कैसा होता है प्रभु, तो एवरी यूनिवर्स, अभी आपने ये देखा है ना, वी कॉल द वर्ड द यूनिवर्स, संस्कृत में इसका नाम क्या है पता है? यूनिवर्स को क्या बोलते हैं?
ब्रह्मांड.
यस. तो ब्रह्मांड, ओके, संस्कृत में आपको पता है ना, व्हेन टू वर्ड्स जॉइन विथ ईच अदर, उसको संधि बोलते हैं.
yes.
हाँ, एक संधि होता है, और उसको अगर स्प्लिट करते तो उसको विग्रह बोलते हैं. तो
संधि
संधि
विच्छेद.
जब, हाँ, संधि विच्छेद, करेक्ट, उसको विग्रह भी बोलते हैं उसको. तो नाउ ब्रह्मांड, इफ यू स्प्लिट दैट, इट इज टू वर्ड्स, ब्रह्मा एंड अंड. So Brahma has multiple meanings. In this particular context, it is the material world. And under meaning what? Egg. तो egg की शेप में अपना पूरा यूनिवर्स है. And why egg? तो अगर आप एग जो होता है पानी में डालते हो तो फ्लोट करता है. ओके, तो ये अपना यूनिवर्स भी है. इट्स लाइक अ शेल. ओके, एक कॉजल ओशन जो मैंने आपको बोला था ना, कारणोदक्षाई विष्णु होता है. तो कारण नाम का एक बड़ा ओशन है, विच इज इन द मटेरियल वर्ल्ड. इसके अंदर ये छोटे छोटे यूनिवर्सेस अलग अलग अंडों की तरह है. दे आर फ्लोटिंग इन दैट. एंड उसमें एक यूनिवर्स है जो हम लोग है उसमें. एंड ये जो यूनिवर्स है, इट इज कंप्लीट इन इटसेल्फ. एयर करो, पूछो, वाटर बोलो, ये बोलो, सब कुछ है सफिशिएंटली. जितना हम लोग को जरूरत है सब कुछ प्रॉपरली है इसमें. सो हम लोग को ऐसा अगर कोई बोलेगा कि यू आर एक्चुअली विद इन वाटर, तो हम लोग बिलीव नहीं करेंगे. बट व्हेन वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट वी आर इन अ एग and that egg is in the water, that's why water is not entering that egg completely. तो आपने कभी ये सुना था त्रिविक्रमा, वामन देव का जो अवतार हुआ था, उसमें जो 3 पग भूमि इसको दान में दी थी ना बलि ने, वामन ने,
वामन देव को.
हाँ. तो पहली जमीन जो थी, उसने पूरा ब्रह्मांड ये ले लिया था उसने, राइट, एंड ऑल डायरेक्शंस एंड ऑल दैट. तो while putting that first foot na, he purposely put the foot in such a manner that he broke the shell of the universe at a certain place. And from that place, Ganga entered into the material world. Otherwise, Ganga is not actually part of the material world. It's part of the spiritual world. So Ganga entered from there. And that Ganga is what purifies sinful people. तो वो जो उसने किया, अगर ब्रेक किया उसने, तो ऑटोमेटिकली एक क्वेश्चन कम्स ना कि भाई ब्रेक क्या किया उसने. तो तब समझ में आएगा कि ये जो ब्रह्मांड बोलते हैं, बिकॉज इट्स अ शेल, इसके लिए वो वहां पे उसने ब्रेक किया गंगा को अंदर लाने के लिए. हरे कृष्णा. वॉज इट कंफ्यूजिंग? आई एम ओनली वरीड दैट इट शुड नॉट क्रिएट अननेसेसरी क्वेश्चंस इन यू, एंड ये इसके ऊपर डाउट्स ना क्रिएट हो. These are topics which we generally speak once Bhagavad Gita has been fully understood and when we go into Bhagavatam. But doesn't matter if that's confusing, forget whatever I have said, ignore it. We will reach to this topic as we progress further. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, it is
Yes,
very
Prabhuji.
interesting topic, bro.
Garima Mataji, Manju Mataji, you will not run away, right, from the next class onwards?
Not at all.
Prabhuji, I enjoyed, I love that conversation of the elements and how they acquired the previous element and, you know, the chronology. And it was actually very informative. I mean, I felt we
Yeah.
really shouldn't have missed it today. Thank you.
Actually, you know, after reading the philosophy of creation, not that I have understood it fully, जितना भी समझा है ऊपर कृष्णा की मर्जी से, so all is logical actually. You know, we never ask these questions to ourselves. Later on, these questions are still at a higher level. People, when they say that I don't believe in God, or I believe in God, but I don't believe in life before birth and life after death, when I don't believe in reincarnation, या मैं क्यों प्रे करना चाहिए, या पीके मूवी पीके जैसी मूवी देखने के बाद then people start making fun of God and our customs and traditions and our faith and scriptures and all that. So if you practically look at it, everything can be answered. Forget scriptures तो बहुत दूर की बात है. We can even explain them at just pure logical level itself. We do not need to go to even scriptural level. Scripture मतलब कैसा है ना कि final conclusion, you cannot defeat that, ऐसा है. But उधर तक जाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, just logical level पे. अगर आप अपने आप से पूछोगे ना कि whether life before birth or after death exists or not, you yourself ask the questions. Then if it doesn't exist, then how are these various people getting their bodies, कैसे मिलता है उनको? Why do some people are born like as beautiful as Aishwarya Rai, or as rich as Jeff Bezos, or they are born in the family of Ambani, or why are some people born crippled? Why are some people born on the streets not having sufficient food to eat? ये क्यों होता है? I'm not sure whether you went through the karma video which I had sent across. If not, I would request you again and again and again, please watch that video. Only when you're
I saw that video, Prabhu. That was very interesting. 1 hour plus
Yes.
video था वो.
yes, it will make all your fundamentals very clear. प्रभु
Yes,
जब तक
Prabhuji.
आपको कर्मा की फिलॉसफी नहीं समझ थी, तब तक you will not understand or accept the reincarnation philosophy. जब तक आपको reincarnation philosophy समझती नहीं है, तब तक आपको सोल के ऊपर विश्वास ही नहीं आएगा. और जब तक आपको सोल के ऊपर विश्वास नहीं आता है, तब तक आपको भगवत गीता के कौन से भी वर्ष के ऊपर विश्वास नहीं आएगा. बिकॉज द फंडामेंटल ऑफ भगवत गीता, द एलिमेंटरी बेसिस इज द सोल. If somebody says, ha, this body is all in all, there is nothing called as soul, guaranteedly I will tell you that that person will never understand or accept Bhagavad Gita. So it is very important, especially in the current stage that you are in. You have to understand the philosophy of karma, reincarnation, and soul, which will make way for your understanding of the higher level concepts of Bhagavad Gita. Creation as a concept comes far later. If we arrange it in the order of complexity, creation is a very complex subject, and that's why you will see the destruction aspect is spoken in the last canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth chapter. There are 13-14 chapters in 12th canto. ये भी चौथे chapter में बात किया in the last canto. And creation has been spoken by 4 different people in Bhagavatam, and 4 different depth से अलग अलग perspective से बात किया. इतना complex है वो. तो ये जब ये नहीं समझेगा तो इट विल बिकम डिफिकल्ट. क्रिएशन वगैरह समझना बहुत डिफिकल्ट होगा. सो प्लीज वॉच दैट कर्मा रिलेटेड वीडियो. ओके, people who think that this is only one life, why they are even at a logical level they are wrong, leave alone scripture. It's very important for you to understand that. Hare Krishna. Let's move on quickly to verse number 29. Okay. Ascharyavat paschati kaschidенam.
Ascharyavat paschate kashidenam.
Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyah.
Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyah.
Janyah.
Ascharyavat anyah shrunoti.
Ascharyavainam sharanam shranoti.
Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit.
Shrutvatvenam enam vedana kaschit.
Translation, anybody?
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all.
Okay, one point I could have actually explained to you from the manifestation and unmanifestation perspective with respect to the previous verse is, you can take the example of seeds and crops. So what happens is, when you plant a seed in the soil, at that time, the tree, the plant is doesn't exist. Okay, so we can call it is it is an in an unmanifest state. But when the seed grows into a plant, when the plant becomes bigger, and when you dig out the soil, you will not see the seed over there. That same seed was existing before, but has now been transformed into a plant, which means the seed is now unmanifest and the plant is manifest, right? And then the plant will further give more seeds, and at a certain point of time, the plant will die. So we can say that the plant has gone in an unmanifest state and the seed is now manifest. So that way we can try and understand the manifestation and unmanifestation. Now what is this? We call in ISKCON, we call this as amazing verse. Amazing meaning the soul is described as amazing from three different perspectives. Okay, which is looking at the soul, describing as a soul, and hearing from the hearing perspective. Okay, so what does this mean? Let's see. Okay, Ascharyavat pashyati. Pashyati is to see. So some people, meaning that's the people in the society, they look at the soul as amazing. We will see why. Some people talk about the soul as amazing, and some people hear about the soul or think about the soul as amazing. And then there is a fourth category that despite all these three perspectives, they cannot understand about the soul even after hearing about it. Shrutva penam vedana chaiva. Vedana meaning not to understand. Kaschit, even a little bit. Okay. Now, the amazing aspect of the soul, let's look at that. Okay. So let's read a part of the purport here. Okay. Can somebody read this one? The highlighted portion.
I can.
Yeah.
Sure, I can do that. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, it is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of the spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as a wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in the subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self understanding, even though it is a fact that without this self understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries.
Jai. So we can see what Prabhupada is explaining here is a very big banyan tree. You know how big a banyan tree is, right? So banyan tree may not be so very big in terms of height, but the roots actually spread kilometers and kilometers. huh? The bark in itself is as big, around the diameter could be 20-30 meters also. But then there are even further trees. The other day I was looking, so there are some trees which are 800 meters in height also. Okay. Now, such huge tree also contains that same quantity of spirit spark, spiritual soul. And the germ, amoeba, you remember we learned that in the school also, right? Only I have a microscope, we can see that via a microscope. So that also contains the same size of tiny soul. Now, isn't it amazing when you hear about the soul that the same soul brings the consciousness, gives consciousness to the entire body of a animal like a whale who is hundreds of meters long, or a gigantic banyan tree, or a huge tree 800 meters tall, and the same soul gives consciousness to a microgerm also. So now that when you hear about it, we obviously become surprised about it. We are amazed about it. So that is the amazing aspect of the soul. Okay. So now let's look at the various levels of understanding the soul as okay. So now there are 3 levels here, and all of these are spoken in a particular order. Okay. The kind of a descending order, uh, the way you comprehend about a soul, that comprehension is highest in the first characteristic which is mentioned here, that is seeing, pashyati. And the lowest level of comprehension is people do not understand. Okay, so let's go in that order. So seeing, pashyati, okay, that perception is talked about, right? Then the second one is speaking, so it is verbalization. The third one is hearing, which is to receive, that's reception. And the last one is unable to understand, any kind of comprehension. Yeah. So when you perceive something, you are experiencing it. So that level of experience is better than when you speak about it, and that is even better when you hear about it. So the level of comprehension reduces. That's why Krishna has structured in this particular manner. So the first level is perception. So how do you perceive a soul? You perceive a soul using the jnana chakshu, which means the eyes of the shastra. So when you read about the soul from shastra, then you understand it even better than if you were to hear about somebody or from somebody, or speak about it to somebody. Okay. So now, for example, it is impossible for us to understand what is beyond the covering of this universe. It's a completely impossible, right? Only when the Shastra tells us, that too the Shastra, because it has come from the Supreme Lord itself who has created the material world. Because the Lord speaks about it, we get to know what the truth is. Otherwise, it is impossible for our senses to perceive what is beyond this universe. So the best of the telescopes, whichever scientist is using it, he can see only what is there within the universe, not what is beyond the universe, because it is within a shell. Then vadati, okay, so people speak about it, right? So when I am speaking about a soul to you, you are able to understand that. Okay, so that is also the next level of amazement. And the third is the hearing. When you start associating with devotees, you understand scriptures, you talk about it, then you build you hear about it, then the conceptions are built around it. That is the next level of realization. And the fourth one is, despite being there in Shastra, despite speaking about it, despite hearing about it, people still do not understand. And these are the people who basically find it very difficult to grow on the spiritual path. And the reason why they land up in such a situation is because of the karma in the previous life. Okay. So there are even further points around this one, but I'll skip that. It will only make it a kind of a theory-based discussion. Okay, can I do this verse also? That way we will complete one section and a new section will start from next verse, if you're okay.
I have
Sure.
one small doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one small doubt. So the first level, the level of perception where you experience, where one experiences the soul, that's the highest level, correct? Or it's the lowest? It's the highest, right?
Yeah,
Just
but that
okay.
perception is not via any
Means or medium.
any experience via a physical medium. So let's say, for example, I perceive the heat in the fire when I come near the fire. So that way I perceive. Okay, but this is not that level of perception. This is the perception via the eyes of the Shastra, Chakshu.
It's this is the one which is through the eyes of the Shastra.
Yes, yes,
Is
yes.
it not the wisdom or the
No, wisdom
ज्ञान
also.
जो हमारे अंदर से मतलब किसी के अंदर से not हमारे अंदर से but जो लोगों को खुद मतलब अंदर से experience होता है is this is not the wisdom or the ज्ञान.
Okay, Mataji, there are kind of questions that get raised around this particular medium of obtaining knowledge. Okay, now what happens? I'll tell you. One gets this intuition from inside. Okay, and that intuition is also based on the experiences and the knowledge that the person already possesses. For example, if I ask you to draw something, let's say I give you
Circle.
No, not serpent. Serpent is what you have seen in your life. Huh?
Okay, no, you go ahead. Sorry.
So let's say I tell you to draw a particular entity. तो जिसका नाम है, let's say for example, ABCPQRXYZ. Now you have never seen or heard or experienced in any manner this particular entity named ABCPQRXYZ. Now if I ask you to draw this one, how will you draw it? Impossible, right? For you do not even know whether it's a living thing, non-living thing, a mountain, a chair, a table, a pen, laptop, an animal, a body, tree, क्या है कुछ भी नहीं पता तुमको. So how will you draw it? So sorry, you said
will not be able to.
Will not be able to. Yeah, correct. So that is where the internal wisdom falls short of. So which means what? Any and every wisdom that comes from within is a subset of the experiences and knowledge that we already possess. Correct? Now, experiences and knowledge are not themselves perfect. Barabar. We know, right, the story of the elephant and the 5 blind men. One guy, 6 blind men. One guy touched the tail, one guy touched the. Yeah, so we know that story. So that's why this perception has a flaw in itself. Now, let's extend that example. If I ask you that how does ether get created? Or how does the mode of material nature Rajogun interact with Ahankar and create the senses? Will you be able to explain? You will not be able to.
No.
Yeah. That is because we have not experienced it. We have not seen that. We can understand this only via the medium of Shastra. And why Shastra? It's not because a person like you and me have written a book and we read that and we understand it. No, because that person also has imperfect senses. I'm not sure whether we spoke about it or not, but as a human being, we have 4 defects in ourselves.
We spoke last.
हाँ, okay. So one of the defects is, एक तो cheating propensity होती है, illusion के अंदर होता है imperfect senses, and like last time I've forgotten the 4th one again. So imperfect senses की वजह से क्या होता है, we cannot understand a certain thing in its complete capacity. तो हम लोग को, because we have not seen what happens outside this universe, our eyes do not have that capability. इसके लिए we will never be able to describe what happens outside the universe. So let alone the universe, we cannot describe then anything which we have not seen also. So अगर वो नहीं explain कर पाते, तो how can we explain the creation process? तो who can explain creation की process? So अगर आपको
scriptures.
हाँ, scriptures क्यों? Because let's say an example, if you want to know about a car, the best person who can explain about it is the engineer who created the car, or the engineer who designed the car. तो अभी इधर क्या होता है, who created this whole material world? Okay, so people can say Brahma created, but Brahma is just the person who actually followed the instructions of the Lord, those instructions which came to him by Vedas. When the Vedas were explained to him by the Lord, then Brahma understood and then he created it. तो जो बंदा पूरा का पूरा जानकारी रखता है और दूसरे को जानकारी देता है, and then he gets it created by somebody, isn't this person the most perfect person in terms of the knowledge about all the aspect of creation? So when he gives this knowledge and that gets documented as Shastra, as scriptures, and that's why the scriptures have the best knowledge, meaning most perfect knowledge. So that's why it is recommended that one should learn Shastra and obtain knowledge from them. But अभी क्या होता है, we try to obtain knowledge from either Bollywood or movie stars or somebody. कोई बड़ा अच्छा बात करने वाला आएगा, whether he has read the Shastra or not, we don't know, but we believe him. Information about God is obtained via Bollywood. ओ माय गॉड का पिक्चर देखने के बाद, पीके का पिक्चर देखने के बाद, पीपल थिंक हाँ दिस इज व्हाट ही इज सेइंग इज राइट, गॉड ऐसा होता है करके. हाँ, केरला स्टोरी में, आई एम नॉट श्योर वेदर यू ऑल रेड इट और नॉट, one girl out of those 3, she asks her father that, you explained us about various concepts like communism and all that, but you never explained us about our religion, about our traditions, about dharma. And this is the problem, because we think ये क्या है, ये सब mythology है करके, and that is where the problem happens. So we have to go to our scriptures to learn about to understand and get knowledge. हम लोग वो नहीं करते हम लोग. So that's why it's recommended scriptures के through study करो. Sorry मैं थोड़ा divert हो गया आपको जवाब देते देते, but hope it helps you understand.
Yes, it's true.
Okay. Shall we do this verse now? या क्या करें? Are you okay? It's already 9:10 now. Then I think we can do it next week then. The verse number 30 marks the end of the section which answers Arjuna's first question. 11 से लेके 30 तक भगवान ने उसको first question का आंसर दिया था. And the second and third questions are answered from verse number 31 till 37. तो हम लोग next 2 weeks में वो complete करेंगे उसको. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Any question around
Hare
it, or shall we stop now? कोई question नहीं है?
नहीं
अच्छा ही पूछ
प्रभु
लिया था प्रभु जो था.
हाँ ठीक है प्रभु, चलो फिर मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीक। हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.